that actually when like defending.
I think it's like
people deluded. I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. Thank you very much for that, Ian Wright. I can take it from here. People deluded. I'm back again. First things first, Merry Xmas, people. Belated Christmas. I hope everyone's doing well and safe in this festive period. Let's see what news, rumours and all of that stuff concerning Arsenal Football Club is going on Google, people. It's a struggle. But apparently, Benjamin Sesko, a long-term target for Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea and Newcastle, is open to a Premier League move in January. 90 Minute understands. The 20-year-old joined RB Leipzig from sister club Salzburg last summer, but has played second fiddle to the outstanding Luis Openda during the first few months of 2023-24. Openda, who joined from Lens and doing quite well. And ironically, the person that Lens bought to replace him, and why he's doing quite well. So yeah, is what it is. Allegedly, Sesko started just 3 Bundesliga matches from a possible 16, with the majority of his appearances coming in short cameos from the subs bench, and got the nod in just 2 of Leipzig's 6 Champions League group stage games, people. 90 Minute has reported extensively on the interest from Premier League sides in Sesko, most notably from Manchester United, Arsenal and Chelsea, while Newcastle have also kept a close eye on the Slovenian development. Intermediaries had previously made it known that Sesko would be available to move in January, with more playing time firmly on the agenda as he prepares to lead the Slovenia line at Euro 2024, which could also see his stock go up if he's successful in that, doing exactly that. 90 Minute understands that nothing has changed in that regard, and all interested Premier League clubs have again been informed of the potential of agreeing a deal alone with an obligation to buy should certain criteria be met, has been suggested, and Sesko's game is one many scouts feel is more suited to top-level English football. Leipzig paid just 20 million for Sesko last summer, and apparently was linked with Man United, and would rather keep him at the club as they bid to join Leverkusen in attempting to dethrone Bayern Munich. But the opportunity to cash in on Sesko and potentially double their money is something that would not be dismissed out of hand. Man United signed Højlund in a deal potentially worth 72 million in the summer, but he would be the club's only recognised striker next summer should Martial be allowed to leave. And Sesko, who was apparently linked with Manchester United very aggressively during the summer. Arsenal's first choice striker Gabriel Jesus has struggled with injury problems, leading Mikel Arteta to consider alternative options, while Chelsea are yet to provide Pochettino with an out-and-out number 9 he definitely needs at the bridge. Newcastle would appear to be in the healthiest position, with Isaac and Wilson their options, but they too have struggled to stay fit during an injury-ravaged season on TE side. Now, where do we start? There's multiple things. For what it's worth, I'm open to Sesko. I'm a big fan of him. He's 20 years of age, very impressive, works the line, has a very good burst of pace, looks like a natural predator in the opposition's box. Love him, really. Think Mikel Arteta would work a lot with him. Think there's a lot of gears to go up. Do I think he's ready to impact us immediately in January? Of course not. I think you would need him to want to develop and get to grips. And, you know, if you're Leipzig, you did the mash. You know you're bringing in Openda, who's more experienced than him. He's probably, and he costs more money. You know, Sesko is probably one that's more of a medium to long-term sort of guy. You knew he would play second fiddle. So maybe you want to wait a bit. And for Sesko, you know, to go from essentially, 2 to 3 countries within 6 months, it's not, obviously a footballer can move anywhere at any time, but it's not really sustainable. So maybe wait it out, really. And obviously he's been linked with Man United. I don't know if Man United are going to move for a striker in January, and if that's actually the priority of them. Similar to Arsenal Football Club, we'd all love a striker. You look back at the, you know, a few months ago, that was probably where Arsenal were thinking out in relation to a striker. Obviously, with injuries, it's forced our hand. We probably need another defender at the football club. We probably need a central midfielder. Newcastle, I don't know how close they are with FFP. Chelsea need a forward as well, but it looks like they've got their eyes open to Osimhen and them kind of targets and need to move people on. Obviously, you know, for argument's sake, if Leipzig said they'll take 30, 40 million, a handsome little profit on what they spent, or along with an obligation to buy, who would say no to that, really? And especially with Arsenal, it shows we can be a bit creative depending on you know, how you structure permanent deals or loan deals or whatever. That could allow us to have more, you know, we do what we need to do in defense and midfield at an affordable rate. And this would obviously give us some wiggle room. And again, apparently Sesko is on the list. I do think these clubs would more looking at the Osimhens, the Ivan Toneys, and more immediate kind of strikers that are a bit more experienced and ready to hit the ground running and ready to, at this moment in time, force the needle. But for me, I'm all for Sesko. I think it's a summer thing, if I'm completely honest with you. Obviously, with the Euros being a factor, that is something to consider. Respectfully to his nation, I would imagine that regardless of if he's playing on a regular basis or not, he's actually going. So we'll have to see what's going on. And to be fair, this could just be a case of creative accounting, but he's a striker that is wanted by a lot of clubs, a striker I do rate really highly, but is currently struggling initially with getting to grips in the top 5 division, people. As it says here, he's got, he's a towering striker. He's 20 years of age, probably have to be patient. Again, if Arsenal were in the pursuit of a Premier League title, you more want to go for the Toneys and the Osimhens in the medium future this season and next. But at 20 years of age, there's so much upside to him. If I'm completely honest with you, he's got a variety in his runs. His hold up play isn't the best, but isn't the worst. He's a natural in front of goal. He's a physical problem as well. At 20 years of age, I think he does have a wealth of transferable experience. He's a striker that I got a lot of time for. So let me know your thoughts. But he's someone that Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, etc. are looking for, and apparently, they're looking at the Osimhens and the Toneys and all these guys, and it will be a merry-go-round, in my opinion, for strikers. Obviously, a striker probably will move in January, but I don't think you will see the Osimhen, who, pardon me, just signed a new release clause. Actually, I don't think you'll see the Osimhens. Maybe Toney, because it makes sense, but I don't know. Brentford have got some injuries and AFCON to consider with their players. It looks like the summer for these sort of players, if I'm honest. And with Sesko, things can change. Oprenda's taken to life very great at Leipzig, but if he's injured, there's a loss of form, or you get an opportunity and you play and you take your chance there, it is what it is. He's not going to be the first nor the last player that's been highly rated, joined the club and kind of struggled for game time. So I have to see that. Once again, Arsenal have been linked with Chiesa of Juventus, people. I don't really believe that, if I'm completely honest with you, but allegedly, and I'll take him for what it's worth, but the 25-year-old is on the radar of Premier League clubs Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle United and Tottenham Hotspur. Apparently an offer of around 80 million could convince the Italian club to sell him. Apparently he has a contract, people, until 2025, and they're trying to tie him down until 2026. So maybe that's where the rumors are. That tells you that they're trying to get him to sign a new deal and he's being linked with clubs. I'm very pessimistic on anything that comes out of Italy with Arsenal. We've been taken around the houses several times for several players, people. He'd be great, can play across the front three, 25 years of age, someone that we was linked with when he was at Fiorentina. Hopefully, he's over those long-term injuries, so it makes sense. Obviously, you'd imagine Spurs more need an out-and-out striker, but they're not blessed with collective good options up front. Son is very good. Kulusevski's a bad boy. Obviously, Richarlison's starting to somewhat find his feet, but you'd imagine Spurs will take any attackers they can get, but they more need another number 9. Again, I think the priorities for Arsenal are defense and in the middle and in midfield, and we probably need an out-and-out striker. But I would like to bring in another wide man, and I think Chiesa could be that, but I don't really buy these rumors. He's someone I've got a lot of time for. As you look and see, I like everyone really, but it's going to cost about 80 million. I can't see us finding that spare for Chiesa, especially if you'd imagine to some degree there's going to be a big ticket striker or expensive striker arrive at Arsenal. Allegedly, Arsenal, Chelsea and Spurs have discussed a potential move for Toney. However, Brentford demand to sanction the sale of their prized asset remains to be seen, with a reported price tag of 100 million in January likely to put off many suitors, especially given that it's expected to significantly be reduced by the summer. And it makes sense. Brentford are just pricing him out of a move. He's got 18 months left on his deal. You stay until the end of the season. If you want to keep it moving, you can keep it moving. We've seen Thomas Frank kind of allude to that. We've seen their sporting director say that might have to happen. We can see Ivan Toney acting up on social media. We know he's changed agents, and it feels the beginning of the end. Romano has said the expectation is for Victor Osimhen to have very good chances to leave Napoli in 2024, not in January, to leave in the summer. The new deal will include a release clause in the region of 130 million to 140 million. The interest from Chelsea and Arsenal remains. Eddie Nketiah will not be sold despite increasing interest in the Arsenal hitman from other Premier League clubs. He's believed to be a crucial member of the Gunner squad to help them push for a title. I mean, if we're not going to bring in a striker, obviously if we get offered 40 odd million, we've got a decision to make. But if you're not going to bring in a striker, it doesn't make sense to let Eddie Nketiah go, whether you rate him or not. The priority for Arsenal is to sign a centre-back in January. That's what they're looking for. Any money they have is probably primarily going to go towards that. And then and then they'll think about bringing in an extra midfielder, possibly on loan. But what is the loan market saying? Who is available on loan? I'm not a transfer man, so I don't know, but we'd have to make it happen. Don't know why he's tweeted this, but Romano has said William Saliba was excellent once again yesterday. He was against Liverpool, and Arsenal believe his current extension was one of the key pieces of their project completed this year. Amen. Could you imagine the way Saliba's picked up where he left off last season with his contract running out? The same said for Martinelli and Saka and all the stuff that would be said about it. So it's nice to see the club being proactive in that. There's no interest, no release clause included. He's got a contract until June of 2027. You'd imagine he signs improved terms within that period. PSG and Bayern Munich were interested, but he wanted to stay. Fair enough. I don't know if big up Jamie Kent. I don't know for all these Twitter in the nose and who's talking facts, who's making up nonsense, or no shade, but allegedly Thomas Partey has returned to full training with Arsenal after completing nearly 3 weeks of further training on his own, as well as grass work with the reserve players. Partey will now be back in the first team and will give Arteta a decision to make ahead of West Ham on Thursday. I mean, it'd be nice if he's fit, because obviously Kai Havertz can't play against West Ham. At a push, you'd expect Partey at some point, if it is that, to be on the bench. So that probably, for me, it probably means Jorginho goes into midfield. I think that would be the one. Yes, you could make a case of Odegaard plays in that 8 row and then Smith row, but I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to go towards that. As you can see with our midfield, you know, we're quite short there, really and truly. You know, Odegaard's missed a couple of games, but he's back. Obviously, Declan Rice is there by himself. Fabio Vieira, Smith Rowe, Havertz, obviously via suspension, can't be there. Jorginho's had knocks. Partey, obviously, his name is synonymous with injuries at the football club, unfortunately, and his contract runs until 2025 and his future's in doubt. We need to sort out central midfield. I think, whatever you say about our attackers, yes, as I said earlier, I think we need to bring in a winger and a striker, but I think we've got some good options. I think with defense, it's more of us not being able to cope with injury. And if everybody's fit, doesn't matter because it's irrelevant. But if everybody's fit, we've got some half decent options. Midfield, I don't think we've got bad players, but I don't feel as bullish as I feel in the other areas of the field. And Edu and Mikel Arteta were midfielders. We'd like to see this addressed. We've been linked with, several guys in Brazil, several Brazilians, several midfielders. And as we gear towards January, silly season and rumours are going to be upon us. So it would be nice for Partey to be fit, people. We've been linked with Pedro Neto, allegedly, people. And he's been out since October. So I think this is just the bookmakers. We have been linked with João Paulinho, which, the latest was he's available for 50, 60 odd million. For a 28-year-old, I don't think the club will. We've heard Douglas Luiz has been priced at 100 million in January, and that's expected to drop in the summer as he'll have 18 months left on his deal. We all know Osimhen has signed a new contract at Napoli, and it comes down to who wants to pay the release clause. Not quite sure for Calvin Phillips and Griezmann links, but you lot take that in if you want. Arsenal is said to be having second thoughts on the transfer of Ivan Toney, with one observer revealing the one factor that could dissuade Edu from sanctioning the Brentford's 80 million signing. Allegedly, people. What has specifically been said? I think he's an outstanding player, but whether what it would cost to get him out of Brentford is value for money, I don't know. Brentford will want top dollar for him. Having sat with the player for the best part of 9 months without kicking the ball, which is also true, if I'm completely honest with you. Apparently for Brentford, Ivan Toney's got 68 goals and 21 assists from 124 appearances, which is all right, man. The big thing is the age of Toney might come into consideration. People want value for money. He is certainly, before he was laid up, he was firing particularly well and did brilliantly at Brentford. I mean, he turns 28 in March. I mean, I'm not going to see 28 and run away. I think, even if he was playing at Arsenal until 32, that's 3-4 good years if my maths is correct. But when you do look at Osimhen, when you do look at Vlahovic, when you do look at Ivan Ferguson, Sesko, all of these guys, they have got more years in the tank. And as it says there, I believe Ivan Toney would be a good asset. He wouldn't be my first choice, but I think he'd be a good asset for the club. But, there's no guarantee he's going to be the guy that moves the needle. Obviously, if he gets injured at 28, there's more of a risk. But he does seem, out of all the strikers, half of these strikers are on big contracts and are going to require big money, which obviously Ivan Toney is, but he's got 18 months left on his deal. It feels like Ivan Toney, the people at Brentford, they're all gearing up to when the time comes to move him on. So I do think he's one of the more attainable strikers that are quote unquote available on the market. So we'll have to see exactly what's being done there, people, if I'm completely honest with you. Once again, we've been linked with Sporting Lisbon's players, Gaio Queiroz and Inacio. We also all would like Diamande, who also plays a Sporting. So that's all there is, really and truly. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. Would you want Ivan Toney? Would you prefer Osimhen? Do you think we need a midfielder or a defender? Would you sell Eddie Nketiah regardless of if a striker comes in or not? So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Smash the like button. Happy holidays, and I'll link up again with you lot very soon.
Always was that. I prefer that. Defending.
I think it's like